why should Paul, if we see the second reading, why should Paul tell the Christians to have courage and to stand firm in the Lord? Well, maybe it's important to know he was writing this inside a prison. For those who might watch or find saglit lang po a 1-minute gospel that I'm preparing every week and sent to persons on Saturday, I placed a picture of Paul in chains. So why do we see in that second reading Paul wanting his Christians, his friends, to stand firm? And then he even said, be imitators of me. If we could put that again, conduct yourselves according to the model you have in us. Um, why? Because he who is in prison finds that there are others outside prison that are not like him, imprisoned because of the gospel, and they are not imprisoned because they are enemies of the cross of Christ. They are also Christians, but they would not want to accept the persecution of Christians in Rome. And so he wrote to them that their destruction is, that their end is simply destruction. Why? Because they want to glory, they want to be comfortable, stomachs are full, their minds are only about this earthly time, temporary. When they forgot, what did they forget? A citizenship. We have a citizenship, and it is not in this world, but in heaven. And that citizenship that we carry already, because we have been signed with the cross. Yun po ating ang ating sign. We were made, we were given the sign of the cross that last Ash Wednesday was made of ashes but on our forehead. Natataka na po tayo. And it's not, it's a reminder every Ash Wednesday, but it's our life. That sign of the cross was put to us when we were anointed by the Holy Spirit in baptism and more so in confirmation. Ano tayo may tatak na tayo na Diyos. Parang God is a cowboy that He put His seal on the back of His cattle. We belong to Him. And why do we belong to Him? What would be the effect? He will change our lowly body to be conformed with the glorified body that is of Jesus Christ. And so, parang ang una siguro dito is that, how do we stand firm? We are reminded in this Lenten season to whom we belong and where we belong. We belong to Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And so, we stand firm with Him, including in the moment of persecution, as Paul said here in his imprisonment in Rome. If we shift to the gospel, we would find that Jesus was led to the mountain to pray, and he allowed 3 of his apostles to join him, Peter, John, and James. Well, Peter, John, And it was in that moment of very deep and intimate conversation with his Father, his appearance changed. His face, even his clothing, was dazzlingly white. Why? Because there were 2 men, Moses and Elijah, who appeared to him in a moment of ecstasy, probably of prayer, in a moment of a very deep relationship. and acknowledgement of being in the presence of God. Who was present with the Father, if not the saints, those who were the blessed and holy men of his people, Moses and Elijah. Moses, the one who brought the people out of Egypt towards the river Jordan. Before crossing, he was there. And Elijah, who made sure that the people would not fall under the clutches of a different god, Baal. These two men who are signature signs or signature models of the Father, he presented to his Son. They had difficult times in their ministry, in their work for the kingdom of the Father, in the heart, to bring the hearts of the Israelites to be faithful to the covenant. And they were talking to Jesus of his own exodus, that what they endured in life, Jesus will participate. And this will happen in Jerusalem. Jesus found himself in the aha moment. Aha! He found himself in that identity. This is my son. Listen to him. And in that identity and purpose and mission of life, Jesus said, yes. Yes na yes. Who were the enemies that were present that Paul was speaking about in the letter to the Ephesians? Peter, James, and John. Why? Peter said, dito na tayo maglagi. Huwag na tayong bababa. We just stay here. This is a beautiful place. Ang tawag ni Jesus dyan, oy, move on. Let's move on. And let's face the Exodus. Let me face my Exodus. And what is an Exodus? It's moving out of my comfort zone. It's living where I already found a place comfortable enough. Tama na, dito na lang. Okay na ako. Pwede na to. And that's what's happening when people are just thinking of their stomach or just thinking of the earthly things, sabi ni Paul. And what happens? We don't exit and we don't therefore arrive. Where? In that citizenship in heaven. We will not be able to arrive in heaven if we would like to stay here. So, that's what happened now to Abraham. In the first reading, Abraham made an exodus, exited his place called Ur. I am the Lord who brought you from Ur, where he was comfortable at the age of 75. But now, you are now in possession of the land because you followed me. But Abraham says, but okay, I followed you, but where are the children that you promised and showed me in the sky? It will be my descendants I could not even count. And God says, wait. And the waiting was, he was asked to make this 3 animals and 2 birds, heifer, she-goat, male ram, 3-year-olds, all of them, and then a pigeon and a turtle dove. All the 3 he cut up. The birds he did not. And while he was putting it for his offertory to God, birds were trying to swoop in to the carcasses because they were vultures. He was tired in trying to drive them away until it was night. He fell asleep like the 3, and in the sleep there was the sun that darkened, but then a smoking fire pot, flaming torch passed between those pieces. When, O Lord, will I possess the children that you promised me. Sabi niya, sinasabi ko sa iyo, mangyayari yan. Manalig ka, maniwala ka. Ano ang sign na mangyayari yan? The dead carcasses of these animals, a fire went inside in between them, saying, mamatay na ako, kamukha ng mga carcasses na to, kung hindi ko magagawa yan. That was the covenant. Made a covenant. Nanumpa ang Diyos sa isang tao kasi kulang siya ng pananalig. Kulang siya sa paghihintay. And I think that will happen to Paul, that when in his standing firm and in Jesus Christ on the cross, God showed that he is true to his covenant, and the change happens in the lives of Paul, in the life of his own son Jesus, that the Father tells us in the Transfiguration, not only to listen, but therefore to follow. We listen because we are asked to obey, to follow. And therefore, ito po ang ating dasal sa linggong ito. Responsorial Psalm. Kita nyo ang ganda-ganda po ng ating dasal. Kung merong transfiguration, may apoy doon sa time ni Abraham, tingnan po ang ating responsorial Psalm. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Siya talaga ang nagbibigay liwanag at kaligtasan sa oras ng kadiliman. Therefore, anong ating dasal? Yung Salmo. Ano ba yung nakalagay sa Salmo? Ano yung mga verses na naandyan? Ayan, no? Sabi niya, whom should I be afraid? If the Lord is my light and my salvation, I say, your presence, O Lord, I seek. Hide not your face from me. You are my helper. I believe I shall see the bounty of my Lord in the land of the living. So wait for the Lord with courage. Be steadfast, stout-hearted. Wait. So, 11 days. Meron pa tayong 29 days. Meron ba talagang pagbabago mangyayari sa atin sa Kwaresmang ito? Tuloy lang. Tuloy lang ang nais nating gawin sa pananalangin, sa pag-aalay ng ating sarili sa ating kapwa, at lalo na sa ating pag-aayuno. Kung meron tayong mga resolutions, ituloy lang natin. Papunta na tayo sa muling pagkabuhay ng Panginoon at atin ding muling pagkabuhay, ating pagbabago. So, tuloy lang. And this parang model, this transfigured presence of Jesus, huwag nating kaligtaan. At lalo na, huwag nating kalilimutan, may tatak na tayo. Tinataka na po tayo. And that tatak tells us we belong to God. Better. We belong to God. He belongs to us. Siya din po. Nanumpa. Ako'y para sa'yo. Huwag kang matakot. I believe in God, the Father Almighty,